Oh my god. What am I gonna do? If I don't get out of here fast, I'm gonna die. What was that? Oh. It was just the doorstop. You know what? Let's stop this. Let's turn the lights on. Turn this damn thing off. I gotta put on some real clothes, and let's get on with this review. What is up, everybody? Random Random Man here, bringing you my review for Alien Covenant. Taking place 10 years after the events of the previous installment, Prometheus, the plot basically follows the crew aboard the ship known as the Covenant, where they are a bunch of couples setting out to colonize life in space when they receive a distress call from an uncharted planet where they have to go answer it, and they discover something terrifying. Going into this movie, I had moderate expectations as this film sees Ridley Scott directing yet another entry in his famous franchise. How do I feel about his franchise? Well, his film Aliens and James Cameron's film Aliens need no introduction. They're both undisputed sci-fi classics. Alien being a sci-fi horror film and Aliens being a sci-fi action film. Aliens being my personal favorite of the whole series. They're sci-fi masterpieces. The rest of the series we can push aside except for Prometheus, which Ridley Scott also directed. I know it is a very divisive film among audiences, but I saw it for the first time recently before seeing Alien Covenant, and I liked it. I think it is a good film, not a great one because I don't think it is entirely cohesively put together, but I saw a lot of ambition and potential for where it could go next, and that's where we have Alien Covenant here. Starting off with the cast, we have a really nice set of actors assembled in this film, like Michael Fassbender, who not only returns as the android David from Prometheus, he was easily one of the best parts of that movie, but he also comes into this movie as another android named Walter. Both of these characters are utterly fascinating to watch on screen. I feel that David, and by extension Walter, will go down as Fassbender's signature roles. He is excellent as both of these characters, and when both of them are on screen together, it is so absorbing. Fassbender's Steve Jobs co-star Katherine Waterston, who you also may recognize as Tina from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, does a good job as Daniels. She is clearly trying to be the central female protagonist in this movie, aka the Ripley archetype, and I know that she was not going to be able to match or even top Sigourney Weaver in that iconic role, especially with the material that Waterston is given, but I thought she did a really strong job in the role that she was given. Other members of this cast include Billy Crudup, who plays the ship's current captain. He does a fine job in this role. We also have Danny McBride as the pilot of the Covenant, and when he was casted in this movie, I was wondering what he would contribute to this film, as he is known as a comedic actor, appearing in such things like Pineapple Express and This Is the End. So it surprised me to see that he was able to turn in not only a solid performance, but also give a really nicely dramatic one in certain sequences. He was a very cool character. Also a bit of comedic relief here and there, but hey, that's McBride for ya. Also, speaking of those movies I've mentioned, McBride's Pineapple Express and This Is the End co-star James Franco makes a really minor appearance as the ship's former captain, but we also have other people in this movie too, such as Carmen Ejogo, who also showed up in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them with Katherine Waterston. She is serviceable, so is Demian Bashir, as another member of this crew. They're serviceable, but that does go into an issue I have with this film, but I can say for now that the cast do really nice jobs. The writing in this film immediately sets itself up to be the kind of movie you would expect an Alien movie to be. Right down from the opening credits, this movie opens just like the original Alien film, with the appearing and disappearing text involved, and a similar score that really is reminiscent of the score we got in the original Alien film. Of course, that original composer is no longer with us, so the current composer who did the music for this film deserves a round of applause in being able to capture the atmosphere of what an Alien movie should be. We are also given from the start introductions to these characters, and as I previously mentioned, that does go into an issue I have with the film. It's not that I think that these characters are uninteresting per se. There's a lot of them, more than just the cast members that I have mentioned, but we don't have enough reason to care for them. There were viral marketing videos that were released on YouTube that went into more character development for these characters, but I do not want to have to watch videos just to get more development out of characters if it's not in the movie, because if it ain't in the movie, it ain't in the movie. But there were several characters I was still able to latch onto either ways. When we get to that alien stuff, that goes about how the movie approaches with its structure. What I noticed with this movie was that it tried approaching itself to be a mix-mash of the previous films in this series. The first third of this movie I noticed was very similar to Alien. The middle section of this film was similar to Prometheus. And then the final third of this movie was more reminiscent of Aliens. How it goes about that, it works for the most part, but it also made me feel a sense of deja vu. Prometheus went philosophical on everybody with what it was trying to do, and that is sprinkled throughout Alien Covenant too, but I think it was still entertaining enough to get me invested. The xenomorphs are made of CGI in this film. They're not practical costumes with dancers and other actors inside them like we've seen in the original films. So that does take away some of the scare factor, in my opinion, as I wasn't necessarily scared by this movie as a whole. I was more grossed out by how gruesome this movie is, but the xenomorphs are fast in this movie. Visually as a whole, just like the original Alien film, Prometheus, Ridley Scott knows how to direct a movie. The way this movie is shot is drop dead gorgeous. It is astounding, the production design with how it has to present itself. Just the sprawling locations, the CGI mixed with some of the practical sets that the filmmakers had to make really had me sucked into this world once again. Then when the action does come into play, it is nicely strung together too in its editing. It has a bit of trouble with its editing in some action sequences, especially in one hand-to-hand combat sequence, but even so, I think it is all still well lit, dark enough for us to be able to see what's going on, but bright enough to see other points of the movie. It's even paced along at a nice manner at about 2 hours, which is about the similar length towards Aliens, and Prometheus. So I wasn't really feeling bored throughout this entire movie, but as a whole, I think that what Scott was trying to do was please too many people at the same time, as I know he got a lot of complaints with Prometheus. All in all, I will still say that this is a nice addition to the Alien anthology series. I do not think it is a great film. It's good, but there are too many things in this film that made me think, yeah, it doesn't do it as masterfully as Alien or Aliens did all those years ago when they were first originally released. I do think I liked it about as much as Prometheus. I'm debating whether or not I liked this or Prometheus more, as I think they both do something different to try to progress the series into a specific direction, notably with it being philosophical in nature. If you are a fan of this series, I recommend it. I do have to say a quick side note before I get into my final verdict, as if you are not necessarily as well versed in this Alien series as I am, I have to know, you have to have seen Prometheus to understand what is going on in Alien Covenant. There is little way around that. There are connections to the previous film that you will get confused if you are not familiar with that. And if you haven't seen Alien or Aliens prior to this film, if you're a film fan, they're mandatory watches. They are classics of their respective genres. But even so, I still do recommend Alien Covenant. My final verdict for Alien Covenant is 3.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Alien Covenant, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.